it's Tina and I'm back, and I hope you guys are all doing well today. So in this video we're just gonna chill, okay? We're gonna hang out. Some might even call it cool vibes, and that is perfect because today we're talking about the new Violet Voss Cool Vibes palette. Do you see what I did there? Can we get some props? Can I get some applause here? Like I tied that in? No? Okay, it's fine, okay? We're talking about the new Cool Vibes palette from Violet Voss, and this is new to their vibes lineup, or what I consider their vibes lineup. It's really their 10 pan eyeshadow palettes. This is the newest edition, and I have the Bright Vibes Neon palette, which I absolutely adore. They also have a Matte Vibes palette. Love that as well. And then the first one I got from them was the Rainbow palette. They didn't add the vibes to that just yet. They just called it the Rainbow palette. But since then, they've added just vibes to most of their palettes. And this one happens to be the Cool Vibes because it is a cool tone color story. And cool tones are kind of in right now. People are really vibing. See what I did there with cool tones, and it's perfect timing for them to add this to their lineup, and I was excited to check it out. Once I saw it launch, I was like, excuse me, add to cart, please ship right now, thank you so much. I actually picked it up in store, but that's neither here nor there. I was able to do pick up in store and get 10% off, so I got a little saving on this. So this retails for $30, and that is in line with their other vibes palette, the other 10 pan eyeshadow palettes. And I'm going to mention this later in the video, but I wanted to mention it now as well. So the palette has a net weight of 1.12 ounce or 32 grams of product across those 10 eyeshadows, and that means there is 0.112 ounce of product or 3.2 grams per eyeshadow, which is a ton of product because that is more than double the size of a small eyeshadow pan on the market, which is 0.05 ounces. So you're getting a ton of product in here for that $30 price point. And the suggested usage life for this palette is 24 months, and it is manufactured in the PRC. As far as the ingredients go, the main ingredient is talc, but they also have synthetic fluoroflagopite and mica, which is going to give those shimmer shades that shine without having to add PET, which is that plastic glitter, and there is no PET in this formulation. It also has jojoba oil, which is going to add to that silky creamy feeling, and other typical eyeshadow ingredients and colorants. So I'll go ahead now and show you this palette up close so you can see the packaging, which I think is really beautiful. Again, it is their typical 10 pan eyeshadow layout. It has a beautiful quilted image on the palette. It's not textured though, it's just coated cardboard. And on the front it does indicate Cool Vibes, and it has the Violet Voss logo as well as the sizing of the eyeshadows. And then on the back you have the names of the eyeshadows in their grid layout. All the ingredients that's on the box packaging itself is also on the palette, which I think is great because this way you don't have to keep the box around to check for ingredients or shelf life. Inside we have a mirror in the lid, which is almost a full-size mirror, and it's great quality. And then below we have all the eyeshadows laid out. Again, there are 10 shades and they alternate between matte and shimmer. So there are 5 mattes, 5 shimmers, and they alternate between the shades, and the name of the shades are all printed underneath each eyeshadow, so you don't actually have to use the grid on the back to reference the eyeshadow names. And even though there's a really light matte shade in the palette, the other shades tend to be more on the medium side to medium deep side. So let's go ahead now and jump into the swatches so you can see these eyeshadows swatched out, and I'll give you the color descriptions. So we'll start out with the first shade, which is Barely There, which is described as a cool ivory, and this shade is really silky, really smooth, has great color payoff and great pigmentation, and it is definitely more of a cool tone ivory shade, so it doesn't lean yellow or too warm. Then we have the shade That's Cool, which is described as a warm taupe. And that is actually a pretty good color description because it is more of a bronzy taupe shade, and it has a little hint of a pink sheen to it. I really like the shade. It's like a medium tone rosy bronze. Then we have the shade Cold Shoulder, which is described as a light taupe, and this is a matte shade, and it is a really beautiful neutral tone, cool tone, medium brown shade that applies again really beautifully. It's really smooth. Next up we have Subzero, which is described as a cool mauve tan, and that is a great color description as well. It is a tan shade with kind of a cool tone mauve pink reflect to it. A stunning shade. I really like that one. Followed by Coolest Brown, which is described as a cool brown. This is more of a deep gray tone brown shade, and it's really stunning. It leans a lot on the neutral side, so it's a great neutral brown. Then we have Cool Side, which is described as an antique bronze. This one is very similar to Subzero in that it is like a taupey shade with a mauve reflect to it. This one has a little bit more of a tan, maybe a little hint of gold, but it is very similar to Subzero. They look almost identical. And we have Zero Chill, which is described as a deep taupe. This one I would consider like a deep neutral brown with a slightly purpley undertone. It is a really beautiful deep brown shade, and it applies so well, and it has great pigmentation. Then next up we have the shade Too Cool, which is described as a mauve taupe shade. And this to me is almost like a mauve cranberry shade because it has a little bit of a cranberry vibe to it, but it is more on the cool tone purple side. I really like that shade versus like a true cranberry. Next up is Stone Cold, which is described as a charcoal gray, and that is exactly what it is. It's a true medium deep matte charcoal gray. It's a richer, deeper gray, and I think that is stunning. And then the final shade is Cool Vibes, which is described as a plum gunmetal. To me, this is a deeper gray tone gunmetal shade with micro fine yellow gold shimmer and even a little bit of a mauve pink glitter to it. This one is the only one I'm a little apprehensive about because I don't like shades like this that have micro shimmer in it. They tend to be fallout happy. So here you have all the shades swatched out. Here you have the full color story, so you can see all the shades next to each other and you can see if this is a color vibe that you can get into. I think all the shades swatched beautifully. They apply really smoothly. They built up really well, but we're gonna see how they perform on the eyes when I go into the eyeshadow looks. Before we jump into the looks though, I want to go ahead and show you the two shades Subzero and Cool Side next to each other so you can see that they're very, very similar. I think this is where they went wrong with these two shades. They could have balanced it out with a lighter shimmer rather than including these two shades that are so similar to each other. They will look almost identical on the eyelids. Alright guys, so now that you've seen all the swatches, you've seen the palette up close and personal, you're kind of catching a cool vibe, let's go ahead and jump into the 2.5 looks that I created with this palette, and then I will wrap up with my final thoughts at the end of the video. So let's go ahead and jump into look number 1. Alright, so let's go ahead and do an eyeshadow look with this palette. And I'm first going to go in with a new eyeshadow primer. This is from Rare Beauty. This eyeshadow primer retails for $18, and for Rare Beauty I feel like the price point would have been better at $14 to $16 because $18 is pushing it, especially for Rare Beauty that tends to have products that are way under $20 a pop. The eyeshadow primer actually applied pretty well. I do like that, and I feel like it might be a sticky primer, so we're gonna see what happens when we go in with these eyeshadows. So I'm gonna actually go in with a mix of two shades, Barely There and Cold Shoulder, to get a wash of color in my crease. And I just tapped between the two shades to get a mix of the two colors so that the shade is not too deep, and that is gonna act as our transition shade, and I'm just buffing that in my crease with a Sonia G Detail Pro Brush. And the mix of those two shades is actually giving me a pretty nice wash of color. It's a little bit more on the gray cool tone side rather than a caramelly tone, which I like to use in my crease, but we're going in for a cool tone look, so I think this is actually going to work really well. Now I'm going to go in with Cold Shoulder by itself, same brush, and apply it to the crease line again, just a little bit lower, and create a little bit of dimension in that crease line and bring it all the way into the inner crease. I love how that applied, and this could be a simple look for you. Just apply a black liner and go, and it would be a really pulled together look. But of course we're gonna do more because we're testing out this palette. So now I'm gonna go in with the shade Coolest Brown, and I'll pick a bit of that up on a smaller blending brush. This is from BH Cosmetics. It's their V5 brush. And it's a nice little blending brush. I am happy that my friend Tavi convinced me to pick this up. She's always given me recommendations for blending brushes because she is obsessed with brushes just like I am. And this one is perfect because I am always looking for an in-between blender brush that is between the size of the Detail Pro brush and then my Sonia Kashuk crease brush, which is smaller and a little bit more stubby. And this, I think, is perfect. It's such a good brush. So, ooh, again, I really like how this is turning out. And this look is easy to pop on like a black winged liner and call it a day. And it's still like a sophisticated smoky look. All right, let's keep going. So we're gonna go in with the shade Stone Cold. This one is the true gray shade, and I'm gonna keep this just on the outer V and outer crease area. Just, oh my god, I am so in love. Oh my god. You know what? Pack it up, pack it up. I'm already so in love. This shade is applying so well, and I love a matte gray, and I'm so happy to see more and more brands bringing out matte grays. They're such an underrated shade to have as a matte because it gives you the depth of a black without being black, you know? And I think a gray smoky eye is so sophisticated and sexy. Oh my god, look how that gray applied and blended. So smooth, there's no patchiness, nothing is losing pigmentation. That is so stunning, loving that. And now of course I'm gonna go in with the shade Zero Chill because why not? And I'm gonna apply that on the outer lid and mix it in with the gray on the outer V. But those shades are very similar in depth, with the gray being a little bit richer, and of course it has that cooler tone. Ooh, I'm gonna blend a little bit of that on the edge of the gray. That actually, oh, look, oh my god. Can you guys tell that I'm in love right now? This applies so well too, so all the mattes so far have been doing really well. All right, let's go in with a shimmer. We're gonna use That's Cool, and I'm gonna apply that to the center of the lid. Ooh, my god, wow. With a Builder 3 brush from Sonia G. It's almost like a muted bronze shade because it isn't too yellow gold. It definitely is a beautiful like bronze that can work with cooler tones, and it is applying so smoothly. It's not flaky or patchy, it's not brushing off of the skin. It is applying really well, and I'm applying it dry. And the more you press the shade, the shinier it will get, and the more you blend out, it will be a little bit more subdued. And now I'm gonna go in with Subzero, but honestly you could use Cool Side as well because like I mentioned in the swatches, they look very similar. And I'm gonna apply that on the inner lid, not all the way on the inner tear duct. Ooh, that also applies really well. It's just slightly pinker than the Chill Side shade. So either one would work. I don't think they necessarily needed both in the palette because they look so very similar. You know what? I should have put one on one eye and the one on the other and see if you could tell the difference, which you really can't. And these two shimmer shades actually blend really well together. I'm gonna go back in with a little bit of the gray and pop that on the outer V, just to blend where we have the shimmer. And I'll clean off the excess and then go around the edge just to make sure everything is nice and blended. For the inner tear duct, let's go in with the lightest shade, which is barely there. And we're gonna apply that with a F06 brush from Chikuhodo. That shade is so pigmented for a light creamy shade. It applies so intensely. And I love these kinds of shades for my inner tear duct. If you know me from my blog days, then you know I loved using Blanc Type on that inner tear duct. Blanc Type and Vanilla Eyeshadow from MAC were my jam. And this is honestly giving me the same vibe. I'm just gonna blend out the edge a little bit, just so it doesn't look as harsh. This is giving me that same vibe. It's a throwback and I love it because it brightens up the inner tear duct without adding a shimmer, you know, without being loud and crazy. And I'm also going to take a touch of that on the brow bone, not too much because we saw how pigmented this shade is. So just the lightest touch and blend it downwards. Whew, that works really well too. It blends out really easily, so it's not like it's too overwhelming. It will blend out. Then on the lower lash line, let's go in with Zero Chill. And I'll run that just along the lash line. And I think that's enough. I don't need to do anything else. Actually, no. Let's go in with another shade just to see. So I'm going to go in with Too Cool. And I'm going to pop that on the inner lower lash line. And then let's actually use Cool Side on the inner tear duct as well. And I'm just going to run that on the inner lower lash line. And I think that looks really pretty. Like I said, it's just slightly different from the other shade we used on the lid, but very, very similar. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the eyes with mascara, lashes, and lower waterline liner, which I think I'm gonna use a deep gray, and I'll be right back to show you the finished look. So here you have it, guys. This is the final look, and like I said, I finished up the eyes with mascara and lashes and a waterline liner in gray. This is from Fenty Beauty. It's their Fly Pencil Longwear Pencil Eyeliner in the shade Bachelor Pad. And I'll show you the eyes up close in a second. On the lips, I am wearing the Huda Beauty Cream Lipstick in Self Made, which is a neutral tone deep brown, which I love. And I topped it with a little bit of gloss from Tower 28. This is in the shade Almond. And I think this looks absolutely stunning. Look at the eyeshadow, guys. Isn't that beautiful? I love how it turned out. I love how everything blended and applied. This is so impressive, and I can't say I'm necessarily surprised because this is what I've come to expect from the Violet Voss 10 Pan Eyeshadow Palettes. They just work really well. I haven't tried any of their larger size palettes or even the smaller ones. I just have tried the 10 Pan Vibes palette, and I really, really love how this turned out. It is smoky and sultry without being too much, you know what I mean? It's not too deep. I could have gone a little bit deeper out here with a black, but why when the gray works so well? Everything applied and blended so easily. There's no patchiness. I absolutely love this. So let's go ahead and do a second look, and then I'll wrap up with my final thoughts on the palette. Alright guys, so now it's time for look number 2, and I already went in with the same eyeshadow primer that I used before from Rare Beauty, and I popped a little bit of concealer under my brows. And I think for this look we're gonna keep it pretty basic, but honestly, who am I fooling? I tend to go extreme. So let's start out with this medium brown shade, Cold Shoulder, and I'm using a Sonia G Detail Pro again just to sweep that in my brow bone area. And we already saw from the other look that this gives a beautiful light gray brown wash in the crease, and I love that color so much. I'm bringing it all the way into the inner crease area, just back and forth windshield wiper motions, just to get that wash of color. And now let's grab the deeper brown shade, which is Zero Chill. I'm using the same brush, just popping that on the outer V and outer crease area and doing small buffing motions, circular motions, to concentrate that color on the outer V and not pull it too far into the crease. This is just going to create some dimension for us since these are matte colors, and then we'll go in with the shimmer. I'm making sure I have color all over that outer V area because we're not going to go with the shimmer all the way out, and this way we'll have a little bit of dimension right on that outer crease and outer V. And that looks so beautiful. Oh my god, it blends so seamlessly. I love, love, love these mattes. Now let's go into the shimmer shade, which is Too Cool. And I'm just grabbing that on a Sonia G Builder 3 eyeshadow brush and we're gonna pop that all over the lid. And this color is really beautiful. I don't need to use it damp. It's not flaky. It's really smooth. It's the kind of shimmer that I like, which is just a smooth shimmer. There's no fallout either, and I think this color works really well with the deeper browns in the palette. It's a cool tone shade. It's not too burgundy, not too cranberry. I think it's really, really gorgeous. It even translates as like a deep bronze with a hint of purple to it. I really like that. I want to dampen the brush just to see how this would apply damp. Again, this shade is pretty muted as far as shimmer goes. It's not a metallic shade, so I'm just wondering if using it damp will bring out any added shine and sheen, and it definitely does. So now you can see a little bit more of the, ooh, it's like a pinky bronze that's coming out from it now. That is really, really pretty. So you can change the intensity by using the eyeshadow damp, and that I think is stunning. And then for the inner tear duct, let's go with Cool Side. And I'm going to use a Rephr number 3 pencil brush just to pop that right on that inner tear duct. This is a pretty intense shade. It's more intense in shimmer than the Too Cool shade. So this doesn't need to be applied damp to really get it to shine, but if you apply it damp, it amps up that sparkle even more. I think that looks good. Let me just blend out the edge with a clean brush just to make sure there's no harshness. And then on the brow bone, I'm just gonna grab a little bit of Barely There. You just need a slight tap of this because it is a very pigmented shade, and I'm just gonna blend it with my MAC 252 just to give a highlight under the brow bone and also to blend down some of that crease color. That is so pretty. All right, let me go ahead and apply mascara, lashes, and my face makeup, and we'll finish up with the lower lash line. All right, so we are back. Mascara, lashes on, and I went in with my Makeup by Mario eyeliner pencil in the shade Deep Plum on my waterline, which I think ties in really well with this look. It can look a little bit like my eyes are irritated because it is red, but I think it's fine, right? All right, let's go ahead and finish up the lower lash line. And we're just gonna go back into the shade Too Cool that we use on the lid. And I'm gonna run that on the lower lash line with a Rephr number 21 brush. And that is a nice shade, but it's not gonna give us too much color. So to make that a little deeper, let's go in with the Zero Chill. And again, just pop that on the lower lash line area and blend it out. That smokes out the lower lash line just a bit, but not too much. And there you have it. Here is the final eye look. And I'm gonna go ahead and pop on a lip. And do we need a new shirt? I don't know, I'll think about it. We'll see, but I'm gonna pop on a lip and I'll be right back. All right guys, so here you have it. Here is the final look with a lip applied. And I'm telling you right now, I really love this. This is such a beautiful, like, subtle smoky eye. It's so sexy, but it's understated. It's not too dark. It's an easy, wearable smoky eye. And I am just loving how these shadows applied again. Lips, loving it. I will leave the details down below. So let me know what you guys think of this second look. I don't think I'm gonna do a third look, but what I want to do with this look is amp it up a bit with the deeper shade, because we've used all the shades in this palette so far except for this one. So let's go ahead and tweak this look. So I'll just give you another view of this final look before we go in and change it. So here you have it. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is grab the shade Cool Vibes, which is the deeper, darker, shimmery shade with micro shimmer. And I'm going to pop that over the lid where we had the other shade before, and this is gonna deepen up the look and make it a lot more smoky. So you can see the difference between this eye and this eye. This one's just a little deeper and richer. And I like how that looks dry, but I'm gonna dampen my brush just a bit to see how this picks up, since it has that micro shimmer or micro glitter to it. So we're using the same Builder 3 from Sonia G that we used originally to apply this. And that picks up the glitter particles a lot more. This is not my favorite texture of eyeshadow to use just because it has that micro shimmer, but this is actually translating pretty beautifully on the lid. I am low-key surprised. It wouldn't be my go-to shade. Like, this is the shade in the palette that I was most apprehensive about because it has that glitter, but using it damp is really beautiful. It's like this really deep, like a smoky bronze, like a blackened bronze shade. And then the glitter in it is like a muted gold glitter. So it does look really beautiful. And if I was gonna wear this color, I would wear it similar to this, where instead of using the original shade, we just use this over the lid. So I wanted to see how that would look. And it gives you a little bit more depth, a little bit more smokiness, and my lash is lifting, so we're gonna go ahead and fix that up. But I am pleasantly surprised by that shade there. Let's go ahead and finish up this look. I'll show you the final view of it, and then we'll wrap up with my final thoughts. So here you have it. I changed out the lip because I feel like the lip needed to be a little bit deeper to go with this deeper, richer eye. And I really like it. I also popped on black eyeliner, again, to balance out the deeper, smokier eye. I think this is really pretty. I do like it. Again, if you wanted a richer, smokier look, you would go for this deeper shade. And I am actually surprised about how it applied. So here you have it. I'm gonna give you a little view of the final look, and then we will definitely now wrap up with my final thoughts. Alright guys, so we have completed 2.5 looks using this palette, and we've tried out every single shade on my eyes. I've layered them up. I've used a couple of shades damp. I've used all the mattes, and I have some thoughts. So let's go ahead and wrap up with my final review of this palette. And I don't know if I have to tell you guys or if you already guessed, I love this palette. I am absolutely so in love with these eyeshadows. I think they apply and blend beautifully. I love the color story as well. This is right up my alley. I love cool tone shades, and I love a good neutral palette that has a great balance of mattes and shimmers. So in this palette, we have 5 mattes and 5 shimmers for a total of 10 shades. It retails for $30, which is right in line with their other 10 Pan Vibes palettes. So they have a Bright Vibes Neon palette that I absolutely love. And they also have a Matte Vibes that I have as well. That is an all matte palette with some warmer caramelly tone browns. And they have a shimmery palette. I think it's called the Rainbow palette, but it's also in the Vibes format. And then they added this to their lineup, and it was a must-have for me. I had to get it. Like, once I saw it, I was like, excuse me, thank you so much, sign me up, because I've enjoyed the other Vibes palette so much. So all in all, I love the color story. Again, like I said, there's only really one light shade in this palette, and it's a light matte shade, which works out for me because I can use it on the inner tear duct. I can use it all over the lid. I can also use it as a highlight shade. If you're into lighter shimmer shades, you're not gonna find them here. These are more medium tone shimmers, so just be mindful of that. And there are 2 shimmer shades in here, Subzero and Cool Side, which I mentioned before in the swatches, that are very similar to each other. I think they should have mixed it up and added either a different tone altogether, maybe a purpley tone, or just made one a lighter shimmer to balance out the palette, because they didn't need these two shades that look so similar. There's a slight nuance, a slight difference to the shades, but they look almost exactly the same on the eyes. So I think that's where they went wrong. And then the other shimmer shade that I was a little skeptical about is Cool Vibes, which is the deeper shade with the micro glitter in it. This one has a little bit of fallout. This is the only shade that I had fallout with, actually. And once you apply it damp or over a sticky base, it's fine. But that was the shade I was like, I was hesitant about, but I was pleasantly surprised when I applied it. And I applied it on top of an eyeshadow, and it still applied well with great pigmentation. And applying it damp actually helps with the fallout and helps that micro glitter to really stand out. So I like that shade. It's not as flaky as I was expecting it to be. So I actually do like that shade. I think the mattes are a great balance as well. There is no real like medium tone brown, like a lighter medium tone to use as a transition. All the shades are like a deeper medium, and that's fine for me actually, because this lighter shade, this cream shade, you can mix with the other shades to lighten them up a bit because they mix and blend so easily together. But I think like that's the only thing I would tweak, is putting a lighter brown and then changing out one of these two similar shimmer shades to one that's lighter for those people that like a sparkly inner tear duct and they want to lift the eye and brighten it. But other than that, I love this palette and all the shades performed well. I had no duds in this palette. The mattes blend so well. They're not patchy, they're not dry, they're very creamy and buttery. In the swatches, oh my god, they feel so nice, and then applying them to the eyes, no issues. So it was like win-win for me. And the shimmers are not high shine metallics, which some people may not like. Maybe they want a shiny metallic eyeshadow. I prefer these types of shimmers actually, that just give me a shine to the lids without being too obnoxious. And then if you use them damp, you can get a little bit more shine to them. So overall, I love this palette. I think the price point is pretty decent as well at $30 for 10 eyeshadows, and the eyeshadows are pretty sizable. You're getting a ton of product in here. So you have a net weight of 1.12 ounce or 32 grams, which is 3.2 grams per eyeshadow or 0.112 ounce, which is more than double the size of a small eyeshadow on the market. So I mean, you're getting tons of product here. And again, I love the color story. So let me know if you guys are interested in checking this out, if you like the looks that I created, which I am absolutely in love with. I think this palette can literally be a one and done for me. I can take this to travel if I just want an easy breezy palette. This I can do daytime wearable looks, nighttime looks, and I'd be happy with all the looks that I created from this one palette without having to add any additional shadows. But you know me, I travel with a lot of makeup and then I end up not using most of it. But anyway, this palette gets my thumbs up. Let me know what you guys think. I will leave links below and all the information for this palette and where you can pick that up. That will be on the Sephora website, and that is going to be an affiliate link, which means I will get a small sales commission if you make a purchase through my links. It's a great way to show your support for the channel because it gives me a kickback and I'm able to put it right back into the content. But if you're not comfortable with that, just shop the way you normally shop, no muss, no fuss. I'm still happy you're here watching. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up, favorite, share with your friends, all that good stuff. And leave me a comment, which look was your favorite, and let me know if you're interested in this palette. I will also go ahead and leave links to my Instagram and Twitter where you can follow me along. And until my next video, which will be very soon, I'll talk to you. Bye guys.